In this lesson, we're going to talk about constructors. Constructors are used to determine what to do when a class is instantiated. The syntax for the constructor is the same access modifier and name of the class. It has to be the same name of the class. And then the access modifier for this class is public. We'll go through access modifiers a little bit later. So then I could have a blank constructor, which would look something like this. Public, and then syntax basics, parentheses, and then your code block. This is the simplest type of constructor. You could also have a constructor that were to actually do something. As an example, I could still leave it as a blank constructor, but I could have it run some methods. So I could have it run method 1. We'll do method 2, but that returns an account, so I'll just to show it doesn't have to have an account. But then run method 2 and then debug just to show that it ran. And we can do method 4. I'll skip 3 and 6 right now because those require inputs. And then actually I'll just do we'll do method 5 without returning anything. And then I'll just debug string. Done. So this could be used to run a constructor. So right away, when we do, as an example for this test Apex, when we ran syntax basics and then new syntax basics, we instantiated the syntax basics SB, and then this would run this constructor. And just to show, I'm going to deploy. And then we're going to delete everything else and just run this line of code. When I run this, I can see I have the debug for done. I also have another debug for the account. That was method 2 with that account. And then everything else ran. And notice how I didn't specify syntax basics like we did previously. If I come back to here, we had to specify outside of syntax basics class, we had to specify the class. When we're inside the class, we can run any method without needing to specify the class name itself. So the other thing that we could do is we could add parameters to the constructor. If I did ID, account ID, string, account name. And then let's say that I wanted to run method, we'll do method 6. But then I also wanted to, we'll take method 6, just the code within it, run that as well. Just to demonstrate that I can still run it. And then I'm using the parameters within the syntax basics. So with this constructor, because it's the same name, beforehand when we created this syntax basics, we didn't have any parameters in there. If we were to run this again, this would error because this constructor is requiring that we have parameters. Now I'm going to save, and then I'm going to deploy. Now if I were to run this right here, we get an error, constructor not defined. So then if I were to add the parameters, so if I do ID, we did account ID is equal to, and select the ID from account, limit, we didn't do a where, we did limit 1 and got the ID, and then we pass that ID into here, and then we'll put in the string of updated from constructor. Okay. And then if I run, and that worked. So then we have the debug for the account, and we can see that we did some SQL queries, we did DML statements, everything ran, we didn't get any errors. And above, again, this error stating that there isn't the syntax basics with a blank constructor because we removed the blank constructor and we made it so it required a parameter. This enforces and makes sure that you have to put the parameters in as well. So that's where you can use constructors to run any type of code or to populate variables. There's quite a few different things that you can do with constructors, and either constructors that don't have any parameters in or do have parameters. There's quite a bit that we can do, and we'll be going through other variations and other ways to leverage constructors in future lessons.